hit recording.
Okay.
And
I just sent you about half an hour ago, I sent you some pictures of the picture that that I've been working on, and I want to continue. I'd like to finish it. It's this one. So
okay.
if you check your email, it's this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna check
But
it.
I didn't know if I'd have time to get to the next step, but I did, and which was very nice.
Wait, let's just review because I haven't. The last time I
Right.
saw you, we were working on that and building just encaustic waxy layers.
Right. Right. And you said, from what I remember, you said you have to fix the edges, where I pasted the photo down, the print down. And then also I needed to work on the flowers. So anyway, and then the other thing I did in the last, 2-3 weeks, and I sent you these with just the flower studies, just to play around with. Trying to feel more comfortable with them. Anyway, so
I liked your flower studies a lot, and what's funny is I particularly liked, and I think you and I have talked about this. I particularly liked the ones that were a little bit more monochromatic.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that I would, and I think you have to remember too that and I try to remind people of this, but when they, meet anyone as like a mentor or a teacher, they have to remember, you have to remember how many bad pieces I made, right? And you also have to remember, right? You have to remember, you have to kind of remind yourself too, like that in the very beginning. And I think I've talked to you about this. I mean, I basically only painted, with, 2 or 3 colors, right? And then baby steps. Also, like I recently have sort of re-collaborated. I had a wholesale photo company called Waxworks Photo, and what we did was painted other people's photos for them. So if you even think about like that concept, like I was painting all day, every day.
That's a lot.
In a very, I'm gonna say superficial, but not to be intended as like bad, just detached way where I was really not acting from intuition or emotion, right? Or I was really just acting on like, oh, here is blue, like, or this is dark, or this is light. Like, I wasn't, because I think what happens for someone like you or me now when we do our artwork is we want it to have meaning. We want our movements and our actions, and we want the surface material to have meaning and to be like, you have very high standards. You're a very experienced artist, person of high intellect. So you're like, I want to make something good.
Well, I think it's been really, thank you, but it's been really good for me to do what I call these studies, like the flower studies.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's try this and just use pigment, or just use what do you call it, the pastels. It's just, and I think that really is good for me to do these practice things. I don't have a lot of emotional investment in it.
Right.
So I was surprised, but I do like the more monochromatic style.
I was gonna say, when I looked at your last, all right, so you want me to look up your emails and talk?
Yeah, because what I want to do, I feel like I'm close with this style, with the doing the encaustic stencil, and we talked about, it doesn't have as much movement, but all right, I already had that down, so that's what I'm working on. And I like the softer colors, and I found it was really hard to make it really subtle. And when you see the pictures, I only use cream or pink, but it actually just looks like white. So there's a line between being too subtle.
Right.
And then not,
yeah, but also, you know what I do in that situation too, is you got to remember the 6 feet. You got to remember 6 feet.
Stay
not
away.
Just for
look
COVID,
at it.
Look at it for COVID, but for artwork too, right? So the 6 feet. You're not supposed to look at art too close up.
Well, this to me, when I look at it from far away, I don't see that there's a soft blush of pink or a little cream. It just looks basically light, which is fine. So anyway, so when I wanted to send you the closer up so you kind of see um, like the detail.
Let me go to the screen share and let's
Yeah.
go to let me go to the screen share and let's go to your
Okay.
to your.
And while you're doing that, I mean,
Did you do my Leah Wax one? Did you?
Leah, what's that?
I have two emails. I'm so confusing.
Oh, Lilacs one. Yeah, I
Right.
think it's the regular email one.
Right.
Well, there you go. So I really do want to try doing the collage. I've been taking pictures, and I want to Xerox them, so I have a flat surface. But this one, since I already have the raised encaustic, I thought, well, let's finish this up here. Okay, this should be on its. She should be upside down.
Oh,
But is it?
I like this.
I
Okay.
do too, but
I
I
love
think
it.
I think
Let me,
there are things we can do with it. But I
oh, wait, let
basically,
me see if I can. Is it supposed to be? Let me see if I can.
yeah, the flower's supposed to be at the bottom. She should be up. Yeah, there you go.
I like this. Okay, so the number one thing is lighting, lighting, lighting. So
Okay.
can you tell me what's wrong with the lighting? I'm
Well,
telling you that the lighting is wrong, but can you tell me?
okay, so photographically, the lighting is coming from the left side, and heating up this way. So this is lighter on the right and darker on the left. The light's coming this way,
So
but I don't show that in the flowers.
I think technically you have to go with the lighting that was in the photo into the flowers is really what I always, that's kind of the rule of thumb that
Yeah.
I do. Because if you do any other kind of lighting or just make something up, people are like, what? Like it, right? And so if you're trying to make it realistic, I think that the thing that really makes flat artwork interesting to people is lighting, right? So shading or highlights, shading. So the very bottom, actually, all your flowers in this situation are beautifully formed. I really like them, but they're all the same color.
Right. Well, actually, it's not. That was it. I was putting, but they're all very light, and I did no shading. I mean, this was like
well,
this.
So the area on the right side, which is my right side, looking at the screen, like where the mouse is, right here. This looks like more like a little bit beigey.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Off white, and then this whole area here looks very bright white.
Well, it's just pink. It was
doesn't look pink to me. I mean, I don't.
I know. That's why there's such a line between being subtle and then losing it.
Huh.
So no, what I did is I took a Q-tip. Excuse me.
It doesn't look pink to me at all. I mean,
I know. So
I like it. I mean, I guess I like it is what I'm trying to say. I mean,
yeah. Let me show you the colors, and there's still I still have them on the hot plate.
I think this looks great. I mean, honestly, Pam, I think this is so close. I think that too. The other thing that I see is that I see that all of those flowers are like the same intensity, which makes me feel like they're not real, right? So in order to make them real, they need to sort of be layered or like woven. Like in reality, when you're in a garden, right, flowers kind of grow in and up, over, and under, like all kinds of things happen with layers in reality. And you did do a great job with the different sizes of flowers, but they're just still all they're too sharp. So some of them need to be blurry and some of them need to be sharp. So you can think about that. Now, you know your techniques for creating blur and sharpness, right? And then also, I just recently learned this, but watch this. This is really cool. Let me see if I can do it. So these are the areas I like. This area,
sharp, yeah.
This area,
yeah.
I like this one, right? I don't care. These are such a strong element that this is where I would put another layer of wax medium.
Okay, okay.
And then possibly even draw in it. So not only are you covering them up, so let's switch. Oh, this is so helpful. Isn't this fun?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
Oh my God, it's so fun. And then actually I can save this. So oh wait, no, I don't want to.
This is so cool. What are you in?
This is just preview.
Preview.
So yeah, do you see this area that I circled with red?
Yeah.
This is where I would add wax medium.
Okay.
And this is where I would add wax medium. And these guys in black, don't touch them. They're beautiful.
I like that. Yeah.
But because they're so beautiful, you don't want these other areas that aren't so beautiful competing. It's almost like see the 5 circles? It's almost like if all 5 people talked at the same time, nobody could hear them, right? But because you can leave this, but just put a layer of wax medium of it. And if you're uncomfortable, you seem to feel like when you do that you don't like the way it looks, or it gets too cloudy for you. You have said things to me, or I've observed you feel struggling with layering wax medium. So what's the other thing that you can do? If you're more comfortable, you could.
I'm more comfortable with pigment sticks. So like, even if I did
no, you have to, it's about manipulating. It's about lessening the attention to detail, because right now.
Oh, okay. So all right. So the other thing I could do is to put the heat gun on and just let the edges soften off, and then
you can very lightly start to soften with the heat gun, or you could use a razor blade.
Yeah.
Or a little ceramics tool.
So what I've tried on those the last flower study, the gray ones, I would soften it. I'd soften the area, and then I'd use the like a wooden tool and just sort of, let it push out.
Okay.
And then actually, in terms of color, then I tried a light gray glaze to kind of tone the colors tone them down a bit.
So, this is like a super way, and you can do this to yourself. If you take a picture and you can look at the picture of your work. I do a lot of my artwork editing now because I'm so screen soured. I mean, literally soured.
Right.
I mean, let's just be real. I mean, we're like, my husband and I were so sad at night. We just we sit on the sofa and just look at our phones and watch the TV, and it's so pathetic, and but that's, we feel like that's what we do. So whatever. So I can integrate and see and edit my work easier through a photo of it than I can.
Once you point this out this way, it just jumps out of me.
That's great. I know, this is so great. So I just learned this week by
that's really cool.
We were working on a promo on an ad for Waxworks Photo, which is this little company that I have, and we were trying to tell this girl who lives in Vermont, how to correct the paper. So we started circling it, because sometimes words are great, but then you're like, what did she say? Like,
well, because we're visual, we want to see it.
Right. So black here means that you're keeping it, right? And red means that you're softening it.
Softening. Okay, now, so I can do that. Go on.
Let's talk about the rest of it. So I think the rest of it is good. I mean, I feel like do you see how the you got to watch where your light is, right?
Right. I was just thinking that.
So I'm going to turn yellow. So this is, oh no, I didn't want to do that. Hold
on. That's so cool.
So like your light is here.
Right.
Your light is here.
Right. All the way down.
So your light is, it's here. So if it's going in a line, it's going to go here. It could bounce maybe to just here. And if you want to take it like here, I didn't mean to do that. right? So where it could bounce here, but it could also go over here, right? And then this is darker. This is
Oh, interesting.
darker.
Yeah, okay. So have that all this softer and darker where that right red circle is. And then the bottom could be softer also. No, and just do the shading on the shading and highlighting on the flowers to pick up the light coming from
Well,
this
you
way.
want the flowers to get kind of like, you want them to get kind of like moody.
Uh-huh.
You want them to get, and you want them to not all be the same like temperature.
Uh-huh.
You want them to feel like flowy. Hang on,
Mm-hmm.
wait 1 second. I have to grab my dog. Wait 1 second. Did
Okay.
you want me to look at the other pictures? I mean,
Oh,
I think you have,
those are just details, just to see if,
oh, of the same one.
yeah, it's the same one. They're just detail things. But yeah, get your dog and I'll,
She's just barking her
yeah,
head off. I'm gonna go get her. Hang on 1 second. She's being
okay.
annoying. How's your doggy?
Oh my gosh.
Is she good?
Well, she's fine, except she's a puppy and she's getting into mischief. Oh no.
I know. I really want to get a puppy.
Ah, there's so much work, but it was okay when the two of us were watching her, but my oh wait.
Yeah, let me look at these other ones. This was
Yeah, it was okay when it was the two of us, but then my partner had to go down to Phoenix to take care of his daughter who just had surgery, and I was alone with the puppy.
oh.
I was like, oh my God, it was, she's discovered mud and she loves digging. Okay, so that's a detail thing. See, you can't tell that I put pink on the flower. So I'm, in terms of, I understand what you're saying about the colors and the softening. And then should I try to be putting in a little bit less
Well, you know
subtle?
what's so funny? You know what's so funny? And this is like what happens a lot is that now when you look at it like closer, like all the things that I just kind of described, like I think it looks great when you're looking at it closer. Like I think this is
Oh,
beautiful. Like I would be like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I might say the same thing though, is that your I mean, I actually really like this. Can I did I mention this abstract painter to you? I just have to show you something.
which one? Which one?
Um, Amsel Kiefer.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
that just looks
yes.
like a Kiefer. That just looks like a Kiefer painting to me. You know, like this one,
Also, the palette, the darker palette. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this, and like
I have seen
I
that.
know,
Yeah.
I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, do you see how like he has like whites in here, but then he
Yeah.
has gray and black underneath? That
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
each flower has multiple colors in it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this one.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I know. Look at this one. I mean, they're just amazing, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So, like, you can stick in this color palette because I think it really works for you. You know, these neutrals. I mean, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Really,
Huh.
that's just beautiful. Don't you love? I mean, that's a beautiful painting right there.
I
I love it.
I was so surprised because you had said,
I love
you
it.
got to get rid of those edges. So so I just did was encaustic and wax, and I kept adding it until there was no line where the print went in.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's
I love them. I love everything you're doing. I love it. I mean, I would just mess around with
okay, flowers.
yeah, I would mess around with what I just talked about in terms of getting those flowers into the whole composition
Right.
so that
Right.
the whole composition becomes more unified.
Uh-huh.
I also feel like you have a little bit more wax in the flower area and less wax, where she is.
Well, I know that's that you've talked about the well, and I just have a very light coating of what do you call what are those brushes that are really smooth. So it's interesting for me because as a photographer, I want the photograph to really be pure and then have all
I think you should. And I think in conversation, like when we're talking about it and stuff like that, when you find yourself like if I, when I say something or bring something up, you need to notice your reaction, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
you're the art, I'm helping you understand encaustic medium and how to like express yourself, but you're the one, expressing,
But
right? You're the
I
artist.
but having said that, I mean, this is just with these little pieces on the, I also love how you will put more wax and then on a figure, but then she's mysterious. So there's that whole look. So I do love that.
You're right, but that's intention, right? That's intention. That's specifically choosing to do that. And if you're want, I think that there's a narrative, and I also think in this particular image, you're creating this idea of two contrasty worlds.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for you, right? It makes sense
Uh,
for you that you're but that one is waxy and one is more photorealistic. I think that's what you're trying to achieve in the piece. Is that correct?
in that one, yeah.
Yeah. So
I was also very surprised, when I went at that, you said keep it very monotone, very subdued, maybe add brown or, another color, not just black. So I was very surprised that when I was doing the pigment stick down at the bottom, at the background, I really liked it. I thought, whoa, that's mud, but I do. So that
that's great.
you pointed me in a direction that I never would have gone in.
Oh, well, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
think
think it's awesome, and I think that a lot of this is trial and error,
mhm.
and exploring these, different like I'm gonna blah blah blah, right?
Right.
And then execution, and then you got to then you're gonna
Yeah.
process it, right? I mean, then that's sort of the artist's whole process is we don't go into it, knowing
Yeah, right.
the end, knowing the end result. It's kind of that's where the science, that's where the
Yeah,
science comes into it.
yeah. So I have another question about the whole wax area at the bottom because it's
Mhm.
highly textured and the edges are highly textured. I'm having so much trouble, you know, um, scraping back so it's all smooth, because if it's textured, I'm okay if it's textured, but then when I try and, smooth it down, it's like I ruin it. So I feel like I'm just not getting something in that process of,
With the razor blade, are you using a razor blade?
yeah, I'm just trying to, like, I look at like the flower studies, I had a lot of texture in there and then I toned it down and I don't, to me, it ruins it when I'm trying to make it all very smooth on top. Because
Uh,
I can't get into the wells. Like I have the high, the raised parts and then the wells. Um,
and you want the wells to go away?
no, no, it's like, because you suggested that it's textured underneath, but it really feels smooth. And I
I think you
can't,
have to. I think if I'm understanding you correctly, if you make a texture
yeah,
and then you want to smooth it but maintain the look of the texture, you have to make sure you're doing a couple things. One, you have to have contrasty colors. So,
okay.
to really achieve this, you can't do wax medium and wax medium because
Yeah, right,
then
because
you're
you
going
won't
to
see,
neutralize these out.
you
Right.
won't see it.
So if you really want me to, if you want, I can do a demo, and basically you have to do like a stencil in blue and then put white over it,
Okay.
or
Well, the thing,
brown
yeah,
and black, but then
right,
you still won't maybe even see it. And you have to, what I call, you have to like overfill, like you really have to fill,
the wells,
you have to fill the wells. You have to completely like, yeah, submerge,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Submerge.
I guess the thing for me is I'm fine with the textured and not smooth, but I also am trying to learn, you go by your suggestions, like you want it textured underneath with smooth on top. I'm fine with texture just like that.
I think if you decide that you love texture, I mean, there are parts there are definitely pieces that I've made that I just allowed the texture to be the texture. A, because I felt like I couldn't change it. Like sometimes, it's hard to get, I just couldn't change it. So,
Mm-hmm.
or I liked it, all right? Because texture has meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's like what you want to say, then there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like look at Ansel Kiefer's work. I mean, that is that is some textured artwork,
Right. Okay.
And
So
I mean, the
yeah.
more textured, it seems like the more texture he has, the happier he is, right? I mean,
Okay.
it's like it's an individual, personal, artistic expression of
Okay.
how much texture you have. And
Okay.
I mean, the thing is that you just want to be making these decisions for real. Like you don't want to be
With,
making them
with
because you
attention.
can't
Yeah.
change them. You want to be making them because these are the decisions you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. So with this one, I do like the texture. When I go and work on the collage piece, my intention on that one reason I want to have it as a collage is that it would be much less textured. I won't be doing the encaustic stencils. Maybe I might do a little bit, but um, so I think it might be easier for me to work on something already pretty flat, see if I can get it all smooth. So that might be a good time to start to really try and get that technique down.
Get the texture underneath technique, we'll call it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
maybe just have a little bit of texture, but not, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, we
So
can do that. We can do that. I mean, I can do an example, and then you can do it however you want to.
okay,
We can do it the next time we meet, whatever you want.
yeah, okay, all right. Well, so I understand what you're saying. So I don't feel like I have to work on it now. I think I've got it, especially if you can send the recording, just to remind me. I've
Yeah,
got,
I don't know what. Yeah, I'm sorry. The last 2 weeks,
that's okay.
I actually have been.
Oh, I know you've been busy.
Wednesday, I did an artist presentation, and
Yeah.
it was supposed to be, of course, in the gallery with the art, which would have been nice in live, but that didn't happen. And then it was also supposed to be a conversation with myself and another artist. And you might actually like this other artist, but she does a certain type of artwork, and she's been awarded a Guggenheim.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
because she's pretty fancy pants. But
Mhm.
long and short of it, it was supposed to be like a conversation. And then on the Monday of last week, she was like, "No, I think we should do slide presentations."
Oh, that's different.
I was like, "Yeah, that's not what we talked about." So it was
Right.
kind of a shocker, but I think it turned out okay. They're gonna put it. If you didn't get to see it on Wednesday, you can see it. But
Good.
she does like metal. She paints with metal, so she puts metal in this. She makes things out of copper, and
Oh.
then she puts metal. So, um,
Mhm.
we have like another half an hour. Do you want to work on another piece, or do you want to go over the flower pieces? I really did like them.
Yeah, why don't you critique the flower pieces? I think I get what you're talking about here, and I can go with it. And it actually turned out fine that I didn't see the other recording because all I remembered was keep it monotone, and okay, let's just get in there.
Well, right, but it's like juggling, right? And I think when they teach you to juggle, I mean, I don't know how to juggle. I always use juggling to talk about. I mean, I maybe like I juggle my whole life, but
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
about juggling, I mean, I think we all do, right? We're all juggling. But the thing is the first you learn with like 3 balls, right? That's like, is that the minimum that you can actually juggle? And then you add 2 more, right?
yeah,
Or one
right.
more, and then you add
Yeah,
1 more. So if you think about really this like encaustic process, I mean, and when I was doing my talk, it was so interesting. It's like, okay, first I start over here
right,
with this whole like photography,
right.
alchemy, printing, black and
Mhm,
white, contrast, like
mhm,
density of the photo, right? Then
uh-huh,
then I then there's so many things I can do to the photo. Then there's like then you step onto this next rock and you're
right,
like, I've
yeah.
got all these decisions to make, right? And then you step on the next now I'm gonna right, I'm gonna wax. So like even at the most basic, we know we can pick an image, make it black and white, put wax medium on it, right?
All right. Yeah.
Like we know we've got 1, 2, 3 pretty together. And even
Uh-huh.
in those 3 things, all kinds of things can happen, right? You can scratch the surface by
Right.
accident. You can
Right.
scratch it intentionally. You can make it smaller than the board. You can make it bigger, like, right? So
Yeah.
there's all
Right.
these sort of these things that can happen. So, okay, great. But then, and then once you start waxing, then you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like all these things could happen, right? I can make all of these.
Well, yeah, and it's been good. It's been good. You know, like I see, I'm learning how to work with the wax and the different color. Yeah, I mean, this has all been very good. It really is. Even if I don't like something, you know, then I said, well, how would I do it differently if I don't
So,
like
right,
this?
so while you're learning, you're just kind of like saying, like, this is, it's like, did you ever do yoga?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yoga.
so like, yeah,
Yeah.
so for like the longest time I did yoga, but I just did what they told me and I didn't think too much about it. Like I showed up for the class, I
Yeah.
showed up for the class and I just did what they told me. And that was totally fine for a while. But then, and then like maybe 2 years into it or something, I was like, wait, I don't do it like everybody else in the room's doing it. What am I doing? Right. So then you learn how you're not doing the poses correctly because
Right.
it's not turning out the way you want it
Right.
to, but it's not, you're not,
Yeah.
you're like, wait, they said roll over your toes. I'm like, I pick my feet up and replay. Like that's not what you're supposed to do. What am I? So I'm like,
Yeah.
am I not really doing yoga? Like, have I been, am I out because I've been doing it incorrectly? So then you adjust that, right?
Right.
And then you go, oh, I don't like the way that feels, right? So there's always these things with life and art and learning these processes where we're like, in our mind, it's like boom, boom, boom. But then in reality, it's like, oh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't feel good. I don't like
Right.
it.
Right.
But then you kind of have to make it your own. You kind of
Oh,
have to,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to make it your
Yeah.
own. So you
Right.
can't get
And
just
I do
hung up.
that. Yeah. I do that, you know, between yoga and qigong, I've made some sequences of my own that are
Good.
the moving and yoga. Yeah.
It's
So no,
the
I
same
totally get
thing. The
that. Yeah.
same thing with this. The same thing. Like
Okay.
you should be asking me, like, Leah, I'm struggling with like scraping the wax, or I'm struggling with,
Yeah.
the composition here. Like, it was really easy for me to say, to look at your piece, and with that new little drawing tool, I can say, you know, make
This
this
is
a
the
little
way you have to, yeah.
softer, make this a little bit more contrasty, and you're good to go. Like it looks great,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And I like
Um,
simple color on that. Like I don't know that I would want those flowers yellow, or I don't think I would want
no,
them.
I didn't want yellow, yellow. I just wanted to have, you know, like with that French artist, what's her name?
Oh
Eleanor.
yeah, Eleanor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got soft pink, soft blue, soft yellow. Very like I just did a Xerox of it. So
Yeah.
very,
Oh,
very
cool.
subtle. So,
Oh,
so I
that
was
I
trying
love
to
that
get
piece.
those subtle colors,
Yeah,
and it
that was
wasn't
a good
enough.
one.
Yeah. So and actually with this, I call this the gray flowers. I was trying to get those subtle colors, but somehow they just keep coming out more intense than I want.
Yeah,
So
I really love that one. Okay, so but again, like just I'm gonna be the teacher, right? And I'm
yeah,
still
yeah,
finding.
yeah.
Hold it up again.
Okay.
I'm still finding.
I say a lot of things that are, yeah.
I would leave all the blue area. I think the blue area is really good. I still am
You
finding
mean the dark blue in the
love the
back?
blue. I wouldn't touch
Yeah,
the.
I do too.
I'm
Yeah.
still finding that the yellow areas
Hmm.
are just don't have any light. There's no light in them. There's like nothing happening. They're all the same color.
Okay. All
So
right.
that means that you have to figure out which direction the light is traveling across the piece,
Yeah.
right? Now, there might be paintings that don't have any sense of light in them, but I don't think I would like those paintings.
Right. Yeah. I think at one point I did put in more highlights and shading, but then it all was too intense. So
Mhm.
then I put a gray wash on and it just toned everything down. So it's just a learning about how
Right,
to,
but if you want to add highlights and shadows, you don't want to add. I mean, you can mute it and then pop it. So it'd be like mute it and then
okay.
pop it, right? So that's an option, which is I seem that's like kind of what you said you did, like you muted it.
I have to do it more. Yeah, yeah. So I just stopped at a certain point. I said, oh, okay. So maybe another gray layer of translucent.
No, I would go for highlights. I would just start like, I would just add like bright colors in the yellows, like a bright yellowy. So if you're gonna use, if you were using like this color yellow,
Yeah.
I would mix this with a bright white and then just put it in at
Oh,
the
just a little.
yeah, very
Okay.
subtle.
Okay.
I mean, I think you and I have talked about the 1 second rule in the dark room, right?
Yeah.
So the one
Don't
second
overdo
rule,
it.
the one
Yeah.
second rule means like 1 second changes the whole print, right?
Okay.
So
Right. All right.
the 1 second rule means like don't move too quickly, right? And don't move too much, right? Just a little
Right.
bit.
Don't overdo it. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So and start, you know, with a little bit and notice what's happening and then see what happens next.
Okay. I'll work on that. That sounds good.
So yeah, if you want to do it right now, I can help you do it.
Okay. We can do work on
Are
the.
you gonna, what is your like go-to highlighter material? Because that yellow,
That, let's see, on that one, actually, I really am most comfortable with the pigment sticks. I mean, I've been trying
I love
the,
it.
yeah, you know, for at this stage, I like the encaustic for some things, but
Yeah, but no, you got to get away from the encaustic. I can't take, I mean, trust me, I only use it to get like the surface I need and some, if I want some, you know, stencily pop, like some texture pop. If I want to like get rid of something, I mean, and then I'm done. I'm like, nope.
Yeah. And you know, and the pastels I think are nice, but it's the pigments. Okay, so let me get.
I think the pan pastels are very minimalistic, like they're muted. They don't have any material, like they don't have any like meat on them, right? They're like liquid. Yeah, they're vapor. They're like vapor. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I think as a beginner, I think that's probably the easiest for me to work on. So I have titanium white, or I have this cream. I have titanium white.
Yeah, and what's your yellow that you're using?
Well, I just got this yellow. I think the yellow in here may have been pastel. But this is this bright yellow, which I haven't even opened it yet. I just got that. But I also have this yellow. This is more like a cream. Okay, wait. So there's this one, which is more like a cream, which is really subtle yellow.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too. And then there's this bright one that I would tone down with the titanium.
You can use them both.
Okay.
You can use them both.
So because Arizona's so dry, I actually kind of I put them on the board with the hot plate just to kind of make them more pliable. So, and should I be getting a small brush, a little brush?
Yes, you know, honestly, I'm getting a little frustrated with myself, and I'm just going to share this as artist to artist. I've been using I use my fingers a lot to finger paint.
Right.
And now when I scan my work and I see my fingerprints in the work, I get like pissed. Because from far away, it just looks like beautiful abstract. But when you scan it, you look it on the computer, you're like, that is a freaking fingerprint, and then I don't like it. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I blend my fingerprint out. So notice today, like I was painting a little bit today, and I turned my wax on. But like I'm gonna have these little brushes around.
Little brushes.
So even if I mean, and these are just like really cheap little brushes. But even if I am finger painting, I'm gonna take the brush and blend. Like, do you know what I mean? I just can't rely.
I like how you know, I enjoy doing the finger painting because it's very tactile and there's movement to it.
Yeah, I like it, but I don't want to see a big fat fingerprint on my art. That's upset. Like when I just actually Oh, this week, Pam, I mean, just personally between you and me, I really was ready to like jump out the window. I mean, I
Oh,
felt like both of my assistants were letting me down. I felt like nobody was helping me, like everything was wrong. And I did spend a lot of time one of the days looking at my website and I like hated it. Like,
oh no.
you yeah, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
just fine. Everything, it's like everything needs work, right? Like
Yeah.
everything needs work. Like,
I get it. Yeah.
my house
I
is a
understand.
mess, my house is a mess. It's like whatever. It's hard. It's hard to keep
I
everything
think there
going.
must have been something in the stars. This was a very frustrating week for me with the puppy and
I
there
feel
was
the
some other
same way.
things
I feel
going
like
on.
I was just mad. I mean, literally the whole week. And then
I was
just before I met with you, I had to do suicide prevention, right? Which is like, you
oh
know,
no.
uh,
Wow.
for work, I had to do suicide prevention, which is fine. But it's like, oh, one of the sure signs of depression is anger, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. Then I must be.
Yeah, well, that's the way I've been feeling. I mean, I was just angry about.
I
And
know.
I got it. So, but
I get it. I get it. I feel like in a way it's justified. You have a
well,
lot to be. I think everyone has a lot to be angry about right
these
about
are
right now.
really trying times. But on the other hand, you know, I feel very fortunate. I'm sure you do that we can be doing what we love doing. I
Yeah,
mean, this. I mean, that's what it comes back to, and a lot of people don't even have that.
yeah.
So I'm
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't an artist. I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was frustrated because I couldn't get in here, as much as I want. Whatever. I mean, I'm working on it. Um, so I'm going to take the. Let me just get a strategy for this. So I've got the different yellows, and I'm going to do little highlight things, right?
I would just yeah. I mean, I would put them on fairly thick, and
Th-
don't really rub them in, right?
This is really textured here. So actually, I don't really see where the light source is in this. Pam,
But
where's
you
your?
have to, right, but that's where you have to use your knowledge and expertise as a photographer, and you have to make it up, right? That's where you have to be the big. That's where you have to be the big girl, seriously, and say, okay, this is where
This is where it's
this
coming
is
from.
where
Okay.
I'm gonna direct the light from,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
And you just have to. And so look, if it's too overwhelming, right, you could maybe just pick. It's almost like you can just pick like one area or even just one
Yeah,
flower.
I just if I get the lights, okay, I see a light source up here. Okay, I see it. So then it's going to be the light's going to be coming this way. All right. Okay, I'll work on that. I'll work on it that way. Actually, I've been taking more flower pictures, because I want to have these collages, and it's helping me see the light and dark.
Right. And you know what I did, like when COVID first happened, I mean, when COVID first happened, I was probably like the happiest because I was like, oh my God,
Me too.
I'm just
Yeah,
like, when it first happened in March, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna stay home. Like
I know. I
I'm just
know.
gonna, do whatever I feel like. And now I just feel like it's gone on so long and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like this.
what am I doing?
Yeah, right.
And when are we getting out of, like when are we
Yeah.
gonna get out of this?
Yeah, now it feels somewhat confining, but I still basically feel like this is such a wonderful way to go inward and
It's a long time to stay inward though, really.
mhm, mhm.
I know, and now I'm trying to like get out, but every time you try to like get out or look towards getting out, it just seems like so frustrating.
Well, so wait, tell me this. You said that, okay, I'm painting while we're talking,
That's
so I'm
good. Me too. Yeah, that's good.
being a good girl.
Girl, good girl.
Anyway,
Paint and
uh,
talk. You can walk. Yeah, you can do it.
yeah. You said that you decided not to do the December workshop.
I am doing the December workshop
Oh, you are going to
In
do.
Texas.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
you are.
yeah,
Good.
I'm going
Good.
to Texas.
Okay. So are you looking forward to that?
I don't know. I
Oh.
mean, kind of, but I'm kind of like, wow, what a pain in my ass.
What's that
I'm
happening?
fine. I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have to go get a bunch of COVID tests, and I'm going to get a COVID
Right.
before I go and when I get back, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
have to protect my family, and my husband works on a crew, and I have to protect the crew, and I mean, it's just so It's just You know what? At the end of the day, Pam,
complicated.
it just makes everything just so
It is. It complicates
complicated.
everything. Yeah, like
And
Kent, my partner has been, he's been gone helping family for different things really for the last 3 months. And so every time he comes back, I say, well, you have to quarantine, either go in the RV for 2 weeks or we'll, social distance at home. And it just gets so oh my God.
I know.
But
Is he getting tested every time he comes back?
No. The testing here, it takes so long, and I don't know how accurate it is. So we're just doing, our isolation.
Yeah. Does he feel sick?
Yeah. So we'll work. Yeah, everything's more complicated. But what I wanted to ask you, I was going to
ask me anything.
Ask you a question. So
ask me anything.
Hang on, let's go. I'm going this way.
Yeah, let me see what you're doing too. You're not.
Okay.
You're hiding from me.
Okay. I actually had it. So I'm putting I'm having the light coming from here. You see it?
Yes.
And then I'm doing these little things at the top of up here.
Okay, good. So you put all of that right. So now stop what you're doing.
Okay.
And blend.
Okay.
But don't be so literal. Like, don't put them in like you're drawing each individual, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if you get overly detailed, that's fine because it happens. But now you need to like blend.
That's the other thing I like about the pigment sticks is this blending possibility. It's just, and I can add more if I want. Yeah.
So I think your tendency is to, because you're probably a photographer and you're, so smart, you want to you just almost want to over illustrate.
Well, that was a nice way of saying it, but I looked at that last thing I did with the water and I thought, oh, I just overdid that. I mean, that just
right. And sort of why I think you're attracted to what you're doing now is sort of you want to be, and this is what I talked about in my talk was one of the reasons that I feel like I wanted to become more abstract, right? And I literally showed I actually thought of you because I showed my older work that was, very photojournalistic. And I mean, I was basically living out of a backpack and traveling. And I was, living at squat houses. And I was trying to meet, these people who are also homeless. So in a way, I had to kind of appear. I mean, I felt like, I guess I was appearing kind of the part, and I was remembering that. But the difference between photojournalism and what I do now is huge.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm really enjoying being, loose.
Yeah. Right. No, I love
this. And not specific.
I really enjoy it, even though it's like, oh, what am I going to do? And then it's like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to be so literal. I wanted to tell you, I finished Sally Mann's memoir, the one.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that. Was it good?
I thought it was real. I'm so glad you got me onto her because
good.
I think I think we were living in Peru at the time when that whole controversy came up, and she was just not on my radar at all. And I just love her work, and she's such a good writer.
Good. Oh, that's so great.
I have to say in the book, I didn't read the last 2 chapters because it's pretty morbid. It's about death, and I don't.
Was it when her husband got sick?
I didn't even get out to that part. But the other, her, it's journalism and it's art. I just love what she does. So I wanted to thank you for that because that just was such an eye opener.
Oh, that's good.
Now, I was looking at how she used the 8x10 camera. I have a 4x5, and I thought, you know what? No, like 4x5 or 5x7.
I don't know. They both sound really hard.
And okay, so I'm blending that in some here.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Did you use a paper towel and kind of
I did. Yeah. The other thing I'm finding, I've been using Q-tips too, which
I would never.
Q-tips
drive me crazy. Q-tips drive me crazy because they have too much lint.
Well, yeah, but it's actually really nice to be able to push the stuff into the little holes too sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
I just use a little. I just get little tiny brushes.
yeah. Oh,
I don't like the.
you told me about those cosmetic brushes for the past. I did find some.
Oh
So
yeah,
those
those are
much
for the
better.
pan pastels.
Yeah, much better. So yeah, so I wanted to tell you about how much I enjoyed her book. So now
Good.
I'm thinking about working a little bit with the old 4x5.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
So
I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. That sounds exhausting.
there's this one project I'm doing with vintage lenses. I thought, oh man, I
Oh yeah.
have to
You know,
do it.
my friend Jamie started doing pinhole stuff.
What kind of stuff?
Pinhole.
Well, that too. Yeah. So I'm doing some with that. Let's see. Wait, I want to see where this is coming from. Okay. Um, so the pinhole. Yeah, I got a lens baby with a pinhole and a
Yeah,
zone
yeah, that's
plate,
what she's doing. Yeah.
and it's part of this other project that I'm working on. It's a black and white project with vintage lenses. So
Oh, cool.
anyway, it's just a whole another.
It's just a whole other way of seeing. There are all these different ways of seeing and
Yeah.
capturing,
Yeah, and
capturing.
it's so much fun. I'm having because there's content in it that I'm really interested in, and then
Yeah.
like, how am I going to show this, and what kind of camera, what kind of lens am I? Anyway, it's fun. But I love doing this, and I love having this time together.
I know, me too, me too. I let me see what you're doing it, and I have to go see how I've been printing for the Texas workshop, and it's just so tedious to.
Yeah. So actually, I have another question because I see our time is almost up. So um, let's see, let's put this over here. Okay.
Let me see the piece, and you're gonna send me a picture of it, and I'll do that same little preview. I'll email you that
Okay,
preview.
that's cool. Yeah.
That new text preview is so helpful. Isn't that awesome?
Okay, so here's I'm still doing the little highlight things.
Yeah, and I think that's enough. Like, don't go crazy. Don't go crazy.
Okay,
That's enough.
a little
That's
bit.
enough.
I'm
Yeah, and
just putting a little bit down here.
you have to remember when we're outside, like in the world, in real life, light is like moving around, right?
Yeah. This is one nice thing about being with the puppy. I have to be outside keeping an eye on her, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the light coming through the flowers.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you because we're going to have to stop in a few minutes. But this is my last session on this group, which is fine. So I think I wanted to make a suggestion, see what you think. When I was looking at a recording, a couple of weeks ago, I also saw you had on there one of the recordings for the flower and figure class workshop that you did in the summer.
Uh-huh.
And so one thing I was thinking, and it's totally up to you. I mean, we can continue with the private classes, but the other thing I was thinking was I was wondering if I would have permission to go through that workshop. I know you're doing another workshop in January, but I thought, in November, December, when things are, crazy, if I could watch those workshops, I really got excited by the half hour I watched. I thought, wow, look at that. That's where I thought, oh, I could do collage with flowers. And so I was wondering if I could pay you to watch the video at the workshop recordings.
Sure. Of course you can.
Good, because I thought that would be less, how do you say?
Yeah, are you gonna take the one so you'll either meet with me again when you're done, or that's fine.
Well, what I was thinking is if I paid you, to take the workshop course that you did in the summer, you wouldn't have to, I'd like to be able to email you stuff and say, oh, this is what I'm doing, I have a question or whatever. But when you're busy, it's already made. You don't have to do anything. I'm just watching the one you already recorded.
Right.
But I'd also like to schedule in some of our private sessions, because I mean, that's really, it's like it jumps me ahead.
I think I charge like 250 or 225 for
Right.
people to be. So I would charge you like half price to just watch I could charge you $100 to just watch the videos.
Well, but
That's not,
if I also put in,
all right, then if you want lessons, they're $50 an hour and you can
yeah,
schedule them one
so,
at a time.
yeah, so I'd like to continue, I definitely would like to continue with the lessons, but I also know you're so busy that this would kind of ease things off, and, I'd be working on stuff